So this says Chilean journalist arrested, but I'm pretty sure he's American also, Gonzalo Lira.
Coach Red Pill?
So they arrested him in Ukraine.
Right.
So this guy. Security Service of Ukraine on Friday confirmed the arrest of Gonzalo Lira, a Chilean national living in Kharkiv. He's an American.
He's not an American citizen?
He's an American citizen, suspecting him of pro-Russian sympathies. Lira has been previously detained in April 22, but was released. According to the Ukrainian goons, they said that Lira publicly justified the armed aggression of Russia. He denied or glorified alleged Russian war crimes and engaged in discrediting the top military and political leadership and the defense forces of our state. In other words, he was using words to criticize a government. And so for that, they're putting him in jail.
Well, Ukraine's a great democracy, and this is another example of it. And of course, we should hope that they prevail.
So he did a little Twitter thread. He said, right now I'm about to try to get out of Ukraine and seek a political asylum in Hungary. Either I'll cross the border and make it to safety, or I'll be disappeared by the Kiev regime. I think this is what happened. This is what happened to me so he's going to tell you what happened to you over the past 3 months. On May 1st, he was arrested for his YouTube videos. The photos of my arrest are pretty funny. Morning bed head made me look like a character out of Dr. Seuss. My crime was making videos critical of the West and their proxy regime in Kiev and how they are destroying Ukraine. My indictment explicitly states that all I did was discuss publicly known facts about the war, the epitome of free speech and a democracy. But Zelensky's Ukraine is no democracy. It's a thieving, corrupt, murderous gangster regime pretending to be a polite Western democracy. So when people always love to say Putin's a gangster, Zelensky and the Ukrainians are the biggest gangsters in the world. Okay.
I mean, underneath us.
Underneath us.
I mean, that also describes us, how to describe them.
Yes. We're the gangster. Anyway. Once arrested, I was given documentation assuring me that I was guaranteed the right to contact my lawyers and loved ones as well as post bail. In fact, I was blocked from calling anyone, even my lawyers, and I was not permitted to post bail, though I had the cash to do so. Once inside CISO prison, I was tortured in 2 of the 4 cells I was in by other prisoners. Guards never beat prisoners. They outsource torture to other prisoners. One prisoner actually apologized to me, telling me he had no choice. He wasn't lying, and I understood. I got a cracked rib in my first cell, but it wasn't too bad. The worst stretch was in my 4th cell. From 1 p.m. on June 21st until 7 p.m. the next day, for 30 hours, I was beaten and sleep deprived. My arms twisted the wrong way around at the shoulders and generally beaten pretty bad. This is the government that you are supporting with your tax dollars and your stupid Ukraine flags in your Twitter bios.
But he's a guy that's a jerk and I don't like him, so it's okay, isn't it?
That's okay, I guess.
Because he's an idiot, by the way. I don't know if you know the story.
Gonzalo, there's some things about Gonzalo. And
that's justifies...
Everybody's flawed. It doesn't matter how flawed you are.
No, that's a justification taking away his rights. I've believed that ever since that day in 9/11.
He says, my trial is on Wednesday, August 2nd, and I've already been told I will be found guilty. My sentence will be 5 to 8 years in a prison labor camp. Wait, there's more to the story. But here's the thing. The conditions of my bail are that I have to wear an electronic monitor, surrender my passports, and not leave the city of Kharkiv, much less the country. However, after he posted bail, they didn't give him an ankle monitor, and they gave him his passports.
Were they gonna hunt
Why
him
do you
for
think
sport?
they did this?
Why?
Because they wanted him to try to make a break for it, so then they can throw him in a frickin' prison labor camp and say he's a real criminal because he tried to leave the country. That's why they did this.
Oh, it is hunting him for sport. Okay.
Later, at the SBU's offices, they returned other documents they had confiscated. My driver's license and my motorcycle registration. Go ahead, here's your motorcycle. We're not. In CISO, I told an inmate how last year I'd been detained, released, but told not to leave Ukraine. He laughed. They were telling you to leave.
Right.
This time it looks like the same thing is happening. They're telling me not to leave, but leaving the door open. Or so I hope. Or maybe I'm being set up by them so that's exactly. So they can put me away in a labor camp so no one will ever know about their sordid extortion scheme. I simply don't know, so I decided to die trying. I rode my motorcycle across Ukraine 1,400 kilometers in 2 days. I'm going to Hungary to ask for political asylum. When I failed to show up in court in Kharkiv, is that how you say it? Kharkiv? An arrest warrant will be issued, likely on an international warrant. I'm posting this thread just as I'm getting to the border checkpoint. I'm also posting videos on the 2 channels I have access to. If you don't want to hear from me in the next, if you don't hear from me in the next 12 hours, well, I'm on my way to a labor camp. Wish me luck. Well, we haven't heard from him. Here's a video he did post.
I will be sent to a prison labor camp come my court date. That's inevitable. Okay? And there won't be any suspended sentence and there won't be any mercy, all because of my YouTube videos. I mean, I want to emphasize this, you know. In the indictment, if you read it, you will see that the prosecutor himself says that I committed no crime against any person or property and that my crimes are literally speech crimes, saying things that the government doesn't like. Ukraine is supposed to be this big democracy that it wants to join the European Union and because it has European values, European democratic values. What higher value does a democracy have than free speech? My case is all about free speech. And I spent, 2 months and change in a maximum security prison. And by the way, when I say, okay, well, let me finish that point. I spent 2 months and change in a maximum security prison over things that I said, opinions I gave regarding publicly available information that is undisputed. This is the epitome of free speech, and yet I went to prison for it, and I will likely go 5 to 8 years to a prison labor camp where, by the way, everybody in the CISO prison, the investigative prison where I was at, none of them wanted to go to that labor camp because they all said it's a death sentence, okay? And so I'm going to be sent for 5 to 8 years because of YouTube videos that I made. Is that democratic? Does that sound like, European values to you?
Yep. Sure does. Sounds like American values too.
Sounds like American values. So the Gray Zone reporter asked the State Department spokesperson today about the status of that guy, the U.S. citizen who was jailed by Ukrainian government for challenging its official narrative of the war and whose Twitter account now claims he's making a break for the Hungarian border. Watch this. So they're going to ask this guy about this. Watch this guy, this tool.
Yeah. Leo Cosgrove with the Gray Zone. So back in May, I asked you about Gonzalo Lira. He was the U.S. citizen arrested in Ukraine for posting dissident content online. And you told me the State Department was aware of his arrest in May. And we learned last night through a series of tweets by him that he had been tortured in the Ukrainian prison. And he was now on a motorcycle with a broken rib trying to flee to the Hungarian border. And so I'm wondering, if this is true, given the State Department knew of his arrest and his detention, how has this been allowed to occur? We have a U.S. citizen being detained and perhaps tortured in the prison of one of our strongest allies.
Well, you lost me with the perhaps and the if this is true. I think I'd want to verify those reports before I commented on it. Alex, go ahead.
Alex, go ahead. Is the State Department investigating?
I just want to verify anything before I comment. Go ahead, Alex.
That's it.
Oh, also I won't be verifying anything.
And there will be exactly. Mark Sloboda says, I can confirm that Gonzalo Lira, wanted by the Kiev Putsch regime for the crime of criticizing it, tried to escape the West-backed Kiev Putsch regime across the Ukrainian border into Hungary, where he intended to request political asylum. What is Putsch? What is that? I never saw that.
Putsch, like the beer hall Putsch.
Oh, yeah?
When Hitler tried to take over?
I can further affirm that Gonzalo Lira was stopped at the Ukrainian side of the border from crossing and has since disappeared. Now for more than 24 hours. This was the last anyone has heard from him. So that's you're supporting Ukraine. That's what you're supporting. People have no idea what's happening in Ukraine, but what is worse, they have no idea. They have no idea what's happening. They
and
think
got
they
no
know.
intention of looking it up. When they started saying don't do your own research.
Yes.
That's a crisis moment for the establishment because they never even used to have to tell you that before. You just weren't going to do it.
Well, now
they suck so bad, people started researching.
That's right.
So they had to come out and say the thing that was just understood for many years.
Come see our live shows. We're going to be in Chicago, Rosemont, Las Vegas, Salt Lake City, New York City, Pottstown, Pennsylvania, Stamford, Toronto, Toledo, Detroit, St. Louis, and more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for those tickets.